And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million?
Right.
30 million.
Well,
God,
we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from.
Yeah, we curious. If you're making $100,000 to $200,000 a year, how's your net worth 20, 30 million? Obviously, you're not doing what you're doing more than what you're supposed to be doing. The money's coming from somewhere, and we definitely want to know where the money's coming from. There's no way I'm making $50,000 a year, then you look at my net worth is $10 million.
Yeah, you're funneling it.
Yes, somehow, some way.
Which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps.
Yeah. I needed their investment advice too.
There seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
Yeah.
And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at taxpayer expense.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth of it. So
it's fraud.
Yeah.
And then you can start understanding why so many people got a problem with them looking at the books, because it seemed like they don't want to get discovered for the fraud that they was doing.
Yeah, they know what's going on.
So when they go through the paper trail and it's leading back to you, and your name, you've been doing some stuff you weren't supposed to do.
Nobody wants to be held accountable.
You're gonna have a problem with this guy.
Yeah. And it's big dollars. I mean, I think he's cool, man, because he talks in such a way, it almost comes off a little snarky. Because it's funny to him.
Yeah.
It's funny to him that this is something that's going on. He's addressed It's been going on, and nobody's ever addressed it.
But it stopped her. They've just been letting it go.
And it's not even small numbers.
Millions.
It's like, how could you not see this?
Yeah.
They don't even make that much. Where's it coming from?
Yeah.
They're working all day. They're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Where's this coming from?
It's crazy. It's like you said, it might be good investments. Stocks.
reality is that they're getting wealthy at taxpayer expense.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at, if you look at, say, Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it.
Facts.
None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile.
Which makes zero sense. They don't even got the proper information they need to get these checks, but y'all still giving out the checks.
Yeah.
We have do not pay lists for a reason.
For a reason. For a reason.
And if your name is on this list, you shouldn't be getting paid.
That's it.
Facts.
Code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile.
Why ain't that never flying to my house?
Yeah, you know what?
I could have used it.
I could have used it.
Blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list. Wow. And even once on the list is not used.
We got to take a year to get your name on this list for a terrorist organization. Even after a year, finally getting your name on a list, it don't even make sense that we put your name on your list because we don't even use a list. So what is the point of that? It's like all the stuff that Elon Musk is discovering. You say to yourself, there's no way the government's been running like this. There's no way they're sending out checks without the proper information. There's no way all this is going on. And he's slowly showing us every day as more and more coming out. Like, it's unbelievable what's been going on this whole time with the taxpayers' money.
Because there's a difference in doing paperwork and passing paperwork along.
Yeah.
A lot of paperwork is getting passed along. Mm-hmm. No one's checking what's getting passed along. Mm-hmm. They're not allowed to check what's getting passed along.
It seemed like...
And when you finally have someone who is making everyone accountable...
Yeah. That's a good word.
They get to see
Yeah.
what's being passed along.
Yeah, it's just crazy that our government is actually running like this.
On the list, and even once on the list is not used.
It's crazy.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how?
We hear this coming out a lot out of the Republican Party. Just common sense.
Common sense.
It's common sense that it's only two genders, male and females. It's common sense that if the
Common
proper
sense.
stuff is not filled out, these checks shouldn't be going out. It's common sense if somebody's earning $100,000 a year that their net worth should not be $20 million.
It's common sense, but common sense is no longer
Common at all. Bars.
How could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously.
Why would you?
But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So
if they know that's how the inner workings go, that all you gotta do is complain to get your money, then it makes common sense. Once again, that you're gonna be complaining in the loudest.
endlessly.
I know this work. This is a guarantee. I'm complaining. A check is coming my way.
So they said the squeaky wheel gets the most oil.
It's crazy.
then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything just, they approve all the payments at Treasury.
It's crazy.
Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints.
Nobody approves all the payments, and they're really out here approving all the payments.
Yeah,
Just so somebody don't complain?
that's it.
That's wild.
Minimalize the
But now
responsibility.
we're saying that, no, actually, we are going to complain.
Yeah.
If money is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay.
It's not.
Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely
Yeah.
on things that matter to the people.
Yeah.
I mean, these things, like, it's just common sense. It's not. It's
not rocket science.
It's not draconian or radical. I think it's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it.
That's
So-
it. That's it.
It's just getting real common sense.
It's in the best interest of the people. If
Approve
so, it's approved.
If we don't think
if
so,
not,
let's review it.
not at all.
Let's review it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
See what we can do.
There's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old.
Wow.
Now, do you know anyone who's 150?
I don't know nobody 150.
They should be on the Guinness Book of
You might
At all.
you might have a better chance like back in the day when the food was a little bit different for somebody to get closer to that age. But
Yeah.
these days and the food that we got, nobody's making it closer to that anymore. Like if you make it out your 60s these days, you actually
doing
did
good.
something. Facts.
No, anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World
Yeah.
Records. They're missing out.
Yeah.
So, that's the case where, like, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess.
I think they're probably dead.
Or they should be very famous. One of the two.
yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, like, why is there no identifying information?
Facts.
Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it.
Yeah.
And that they receive it quickly and accurately. I'll tell you another crazy thing. So, one of the things is like we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this, obviously there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, let's, if people can retire, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we're told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Yeah. Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955.
Never
So it
got
looks like
upgraded.
it's
My
like
dad was
a
born
time warp.
55.
And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government.
It's crazy. That's
And
crazy.
the elevator breaks down sometimes.
The whole concept, the process, the execution is archaic.
Yes. Why are we still using paper in 2025 when it could just be entered in a computer?
Why are we sending it through a mine shaft?
It's unbelievable. Like, that's why I'm glad they in there, because now the stuff is coming out, and it's like I said earlier in the video. Our government running like this?
Yeah.
It sounds unbelievable.
It needs to be changed.
Yes.
You can't. Nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy?
Yes, it does.
There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else, and you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think that's an example. Like at a high level, if you say, like, how do we increase prosperity? Is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. Yeah. And so you increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher standard of living available for everyone.
And it's like anybody that takes over a company, if you take over a brand new company, the first thing you're going to do is allocate people time in a different way.
Yeah,
I think it'd be
cut
better.
all the fat.
Yeah, I think it'd be better if we put you in this position, have you doing this. We don't need you doing this no more. Instead of having 5 people do this, let's have 2 people do this, and let's put 3 people over here so more production is getting done. And I like that the way he's doing things, because he's doing it like he's running a business, and we know both of these guys up here has been running a lot of businesses and know how businesses work.
That's the actual goal. Everyone's very quiet. So people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted.
Look at Trump's face. He's just smirking like, get him, Elon.
Yeah, it's just like, you can take care of this.
Get him.
We have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We've won the House. We won the Senate.
Everything.
The people voted for major government reform.
Yeah.
There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what the people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And
that was a bar. Most of the time, people vote for the presidency because when they're on the campaign trail, they're giving you this promise. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We like it sound good. Let's get them in there. They get in there and do none of it. He said for once in your lifetime, you got somebody that told y'all what he was going to do in the campaign trail. And honestly, since he's been in the White House, we have been seeing him do everything that he said he was going to do. And he's not taking a long time to doing it. Yeah. He's doing it quickly. Announcements is being dropped every day that new stuff is happening that he told us was going to happen.
And you can't be mad at the efficiency in which things are being done.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been a lack of that.
Yes, a lot of lack of that.
And so this is the cleanup.
Yeah, and it needed to be cleaned up. The swamp needed to be drained.
that's what democracy is all about.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization.
I like the fact that he says that because we just did a video earlier and they was talking about transparency. Yeah. Like the Republican Party, the Donald Trump administration, they keep using that word transparency because they know that the people want to see transparency. Elon Musk is clearly stating right here, I can't be more transparent. We putting stuff up on the website.
Yeah, I don't want to believe you.
Yeah.
I want to have a reason
Yeah.
to believe in you.
Yeah.
You know, I can't just trust you.
Yeah.
That's what transparency is all about.
Yeah.
It bridges the gap to trust.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he said nobody's have been more transparent, because most of the time in government is never transparent about
At all.
anything. You
At
only
all.
need to know bases, and they feel like the citizens don't need to know anything. And I like the fact that he's saying, yo, this is the most transparent it's ever been in government. Just think about it.
So, you know, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not, you know, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid.
It's crazy.
These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances.
Yes, checks and balances.
Simple checks and balances.
Notate your work.
Yeah.
Who's getting paid? Where are they getting paid? Why are they getting paid? Not only notate your work, but be accountable.
Yeah.
Because if you notate your work, then somebody can look back
Yeah.
and say, okay, you did this, the money went here.
Yeah.
From what he's saying, none of that's being done. It's just sending it out.
It's like, basically he's saying stuff on paperwork is missing, but that box is on that paper for a reason.
For a reason.
They didn't just waste their time putting this on the box. They put it there so you could fill it in. If they didn't want you to fill it in, it wouldn't even be there.
It wouldn't be there
for you to fill in.
In the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract for some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, you know, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately.
Yeah, they will.
You yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust.
Right.
So not somebody saying they're trustworthy,
right.
but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not?
Yeah.
It's totally obvious.
It's obvious.
That's what I just said.
You know what companies he got. You feel what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know what he does, and you know if he around something from the transparency, whether or not this is something that could potentially help him. And if you do see something like that, call it out, because we're like a glass house. You can see right into everything that we're doing.
Yeah. There's nothing to hide here.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watch that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this. Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. So, but we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found.
Tens of
And now a
billions.
judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt.
Yeah.
And it is very corrupt. It's very, very, it's also foolish. As an example, a man has a contract for 3 months and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, you know, because nobody ends a contract. You get a lot of that. You have a contract that's a 3-month contract. Now, normally, if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months. You know, it's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years.
Crazy.
And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years.
No,
you know?
why
They
would
don't
he?
say it. They just keep getting checks month after month. And you have various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse.
I mean, stuff like that, if that's happening, it definitely got to be a stop to. A 3-month job, 20 years later, you still getting paid. I left plenty of jobs in my lifetime. I never got a check after that.
Yeah, not a check.
After I left, I had a hard time getting the money that they did owe me once I left.
Yeah, only person still getting checks after they left is like Bobby Bonilla.
It's a crazy situation. He brought up the judge situation that we did a video on yesterday about the judge that was trying to stop him from going through this and looking at it. And like he said, we're finding tens of billions of dollars worth of fraud. Why would you want to stop us from looking into this? It's only been a couple of weeks and we found tens of billions. We keep going. We're going to find more and more of the people tax money.
It's starting to see a lot of reason. Man, look, the debt is crazy huge.
Through the roof.
But when you start saying tens of billions,
it's different language.
And money is being funneled.
Yeah.
It's a whole different conversation we need to be had.
Yeah, and then when you find out that the judge that's actually stopping Trump from trying to look into this, he was appointed by Obama, this stuff started making sense. Like, are your allegiance to Obama or your allegiance to the American people? You gotta pick.
And I guess you call that incompetence, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be corruption. It could be deals made on both sides, where
Some
guy
kickback.
gets some money, he kicks. I think there's a lot of kickback here.
Yeah.
I see a lot of kickback here.
A lot of kickbacks.
Tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to give out some of these contracts, so he has to get a kickback.
Yeah. Percentage.
So
some mafia.
that's what I got elected for, that and borders and military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it.
I like Trump knows exactly why people put in the office. And he's like, I know why y'all put me here. I'm going to do the job that you put me here for. Yeah. I wasn't just running on this stuff to get votes like so many presidents did before me. I was running on this because this is exactly what I was to do when I got to the White House.
This is what the American people care about.
Yeah.
And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars. Not
billions,
like
with a big B.
Bit, billions.
With a big B.
Many billions of dollars. And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion.
That's what I was saying.
That will have quite an impact on the budget.
That's crazy.
And you'll go to a judge where they handpick a judge, and he has certain leanings. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but he has certain leanings, and he wants us to stop looking. How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found.
I think they want them to stop looking because they keep looking. The more and more they're going to find on the Democratic Party. So they're trying to put a stop to it anyway because they know all fingers come back to them.
It's like somebody breathing on your neck.
Yeah.
They're breathing on the neck right now. And it don't feel good.
It's getting hot.
Don't feel good.
Found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million. $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants. All illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
Damn.
Mr. Musk, can I ask you a question? You said on
Twice the rate. Not only is the money going where people don't want it to go to for illegal immigrants, but if the room's $100, I give them $200 for what?
It's crazy.
If most of the time most of the time if you buy in bulk, it comes with a discount.
A discount.
It doesn't come with you got to pay twice as much, and I'm filling up every room in this hotel.
It's ridiculous.
If I may, sort of just going for the president's comments, at a high level, okay, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from $2 trillion to $1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence
And spending.
and caring.
Yeah.
And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something.
Yeah.
I'll be scrutinized nonstop.
Yeah.
But with support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from $2 trillion to $1, and then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build. And if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion,
You even.
Between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26. And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's, the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario.
When you hear what he's saying and what could come out of this for the American people, we just take the deficit from 2 trillion to 1 trillion, and then all this happened to you.
And you offset it in a positive.
But then you don't understand, why would a judge be trying to stop this or get in the way of this, of everybody getting lower payments, when all we've been hearing the last 4 years is about how everyone was struggling. They're giving you a solution to the struggling. President after president, we just seeing the deficit get higher and higher and higher.
Band-aids.
We never heard nobody of cutting the deficit, especially by half in 1 year.
Off the jump.
It's a crazy situation. I definitely want to keep an eye on this. Before we get out with the video, if you didn't like, subscribe, leave a comment, make sure you do that.
Do that.
Until our next video, it's Tremaine Jones.
It's Lamar Wilson.
And we out.